Hello everyone. The aim of this video is to give you a very short introduction to semiotics and semiotic analysis. I'm going to put another video in the comments underneath in the description here to sort of direct you to another media studies vlogger who does a much more comprehensive, detailed video and looks at semiotics from a more filmic perspective, from a more kind of film studies perspective. I'm going to look at it much more generally and much more quickly. So semiotics sounds very complicated, and it's one of those kind of theories or ideas that has students easily confused and a bit concerned about how it all links and works together. It's much more straightforward than it sounds. So semiotics really is more than just media studies. It's the study of how culture and how advertising and how our society works beyond basic language. It's to do with how we react as a human species with the things around us and the symbols and the signs that we see around us in our everyday environments. So for an example of that, if you were to consider, or if you were to imagine an alien coming from another planet, lands on planet Earth, has no understanding of our culture or society, and it's your job to sort of teach them or show them the certain symbols and certain logos, etc., that have cultural meaning and have a deeper kind of subtext. So, for example, if you were taking that alien down a high street in any UK town or city, chances are you're going to see a McDonald's, and the chances are that person, that alien, would see a red square with a golden M, the golden arches. Now, to them, it would just be a red square with a yellow or golden M. That's what we call denotation. That's what you literally see. Denotation is what you see, red square, golden M. Connotation is what your brain then associates with that logo. So the red square with a gold M would be the sign or the signifier, because that's the symbol, that's the sign. What is signified in our heads, the connotation, is that there's a McDonald's up ahead. There's a branch of McDonald's going to be selling food up ahead. So that's really the basic two-step idea. Denotation is what you see, connotation is what you understand from what you see, based on previous experiences, based on cultural knowledge, cultural understanding. Now then, those signs or signifiers are polysemic, meaning that anyone who sees those signs will see them with a slightly different connotation. So it depends basically on your generation, on your age, on your background, on what you've been taught, what you know about that symbol. So it might be that some people from a previous generation might have seen that sign, that logo, and thought, fast food, cheap, value for money, or American burgers fast food chain. It might be now that someone looks at that symbol and thinks unhealthy, full of fat, sugar, salt, processed food, and it might carry with it some other negative connotations. Totally depends on your feeling and your understanding of that sign. For example, this works throughout advertising and throughout logos and marketing, etc. So it might be that you were to teach that alien what different symbols mean. So you might see this symbol, you might see that logo and symbol, and to them it just looks like a plain black plimsoll shoe. Now the logo Vans, the brand Vans, might have other connotations with you. It might have connotations with skateboarding, with California, with the year 1966 when they were founded, and it might have a whole host of other cultural associations with that brand. Another brand that I'm just using as an example would be Dr. Martens. Now, to that alien from outer space, this would just look like a red boot. Now, here in England, especially in Britain, that kind of style of shoe holds a whole host of other cultural associations and connotations with it. Either a kind of countercultural musical subculture the skinhead culture for some maybe, but it carries with it other associations, and it's a good example of a polysemic understanding. Someone might see that and remember it from the 1970s and 80s, and someone might see that today and have a whole other host of connotations that go along with that label and with that brand. So that's basic denotation and connotation. Now, over time, the teaching and the connotations that you see over and over again become what is known as naturalisation. And that's where your brain associates certain images and symbols and signs with a certain idea. And these ideas sometimes become stereotypes. They morph into stereotypes. So using the symbol of Dr. Martens boots, they can become a kind of symbol of Britain or a symbol of England. Same as seeing a bulldog might have cultural connotations and associations with Winston Churchill, with the Second World War, with British forces and military, if you like. A kind of nostalgic idea, 1940s idea of England. Same as a red telephone box might have connotations of England. Black taxis might have connotations of London and London culture. But taken further, it might be that a pint of beer has connotations with men, or a pint of lager might have connotations with men, whereas perhaps a glass of rosé wine or a glass of white wine might become gendered over time, and that might be a drink that you associate with women or with the female gender or female sex. So these can be fairly damaging and fairly limiting, and it's often the connotations and the stereotypes that are bred and helped by marketing and advertising. Certain products, certain signs get associated to a typical sex or gender, or a particular culture, counterculture. So it might be over time that you think, well, I'm not going to buy Dr. Martens boots because that's not what I associate myself, my identity with. So this process of naturalisation happens over time, and it carries with it certain stereotypes. Same as seeing a baguette might have associations with France and a kind of stereotypical idea of a French person and their dining habits. So that's the process of naturalisation. So that really is semiotics in a very kind of short whistle-stop tour. If you want further examples from a filmic sense, try the Media Insider, and I'll post a link to that video down below. Check that out as well. Any comments on what you'd like me to cover over the next couple of weeks, post in the comments underneath, and I'll do my best to shed some light on some key media ideas. But go out there and have a look for symbols and signs, and think about the connotations and the cultural associations you have with those symbols, and see how far they go.